Welcome back to LarryB YouTube channel. In today's class we're going to learn how to make this beautiful blazer with cape. Okay, you can see the cape that just goes over the blazer like that, and it has this stylish neckline in front. If this is something you like to learn, kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. So I'm going to start with my basic bodice pattern. I have already drafted mine. It does not have a dart because that is how I want it. If you want yours to have that, you can add that to yours. So this is the front and this is the back. You can see that the back does not have a zipper allowance as well because there is no zipper in this. And for the front, you can modify it to any design you want. I want to use it to cut out the cape first before I can change it to whatever pattern that I want to have in front. So now I'm going to bring a new paper. I'm going to bring out a fresh pattern paper just like this, and I'm going to lay it on the table. So I'll pick the back pattern first and make sure that it aligns with this center. Okay, so I'll make sure that the center aligns with the center part that I have here. And depending on how long you want your cape to be, I just want my cape to be like 1 inch longer than the actual pattern. So you can see I'm leaving like 1 inch. This is where my pattern stops, you can see, and this is where the cape is going to stop. So I'll match the center back to each other like this, and then you hold it down with a tape or something. So after placing the front, I'm going to bring in the back, sorry, I'm going to bring in the front as well, and then I'm going to match the shoulder together just like this. Okay, you can see that I already have my allowance for joining the shoulder together, so that's why I don't want it to, if you place it like this, it's also okay, but I don't want so much space in this. So remember, for your shoulder slope, you go down by 1 inch each for the two sides. So by the time I place it like this, I'm going to have like a space of like 2 inches for each of the sides. So, and I already have my allowance already. So the most important thing for me is to match my center back to this straight line, and then for the center front, I'm just going to place them against each other like this. That's how I'm placing it, and I'm going to hold that with something as well. After holding them together like that, I'm just going to indicate the point where the two shoulders join on this side, and I'm also going to do the same thing on the center part as well. Okay, it's important to note those points. So after noting the point, the next thing is to start creating our cape. So there are several ways you can actually create this cape. You can create it in a way that you don't have any joining to your shoulder, which means the cape is just going to run from the front all the way to the back. But that may give you a little bit of challenge when joining it, especially for beginners. So I want to make this as beginner friendly as possible. So I'm just going to break it a little bit so that I can have like a small dart here, so we can join them together separately, one step at a time, so that it will be easy for us to comprehend. So to do that now, this is my back. Remember, this is the back panel and this is the front panel. So on the back panel from my shoulder, I'm going to come down by around 1 inch. You can see that it's including the allowance that I have there. So here I'm going to come down by around 1 inch. This is my actual shoulder line. Let me redraw it with a marker so that we can see it well. Okay, this is my actual shoulder line here. So I've come down by 4 inches, and then you move to the front armhole as well, and then you indicate where you want your cape to. So remember, the cape links to the front by the armhole only. So you indicate where you want, how deep you want it to be to your armhole. So for this, I'm going to mark 4 inches again. Okay, this is because by the time I sew, remember, all of these allowances are still part of my cape length. So by the time I sew off this allowance, I'll still be left with extra 1 inch. So if you want it to be longer, it's going to still join it. That's why I just left it as 4 inches here. So if you want yours to be shorter, this 1 inch, you just remove it from the 4 inches, so that by the time you join your shoulders together, your cape will not be so long. Okay, I hope you understand that. So here I have marked this point on my front. So on that point, I'm just going to come out here by 1 inch. Okay, so I'm going to come out here by 1 inch, and what I'm going to do now is to connect from the front here to the 4 inches that I marked from the back with my ruler. So here I'm going to connect them together like this. So you can see what we have here at the back. Okay, we have like a small space. This is my actual handhole. This is the new line that I have, so I'm going to be chopping off this area. So all of this will make sense by the time we are sewing it. It will make it easier for you to sew. So now the next thing I'm going to do now is to start marking the cape, the length of my cape. So for the length, I already marked it. I said I want it to be 1 inch longer than the main body, so you can see. So this length part is settled. So here I'm going to come to the shoulder area. I'm just going to use my length, my sleeve length as a reference. So my full sleeve length is around 21 inches. So from this shoulder point here, I'm going to mark 21 inches. But remember that I've taken, this is not going to be part of the cape. We are chopping it off. So I'll start taking the measurement from, okay, so for this, for the shoulder area, I'm going to use my sleeve length as a reference point. My full sleeve length is around 21 inches. So I'll take the 21 inches from here. So remember this part I said we're going to be taking it off. So I'll start taking the measurements from the second part, which is here. So here now I'm going to mark the 21 inches just like this, and then I'm going to connect this. Yours may not be as long as this. I'm not going to line this, so if it's too long it will be easy for me to cut it off. But if you are lining yours, please make sure that you're sure of what you have calculated. So here now I'm just going to go ahead and create like a straight line to the 21 inches that I have marked. Okay, and then I'm going to check it again. So what we are going to do now is to try to form like a curve connecting from the sleeve area to the hem area. I hope you understand that. You can use your free hand or you can use a curve for that as well. Sorry, this measurement is supposed to be taken on your front area where your cape is going to be stopping. Remember, this is the shoulder, so you're going to take the 21 inches here because the cape is going to extend to the front. So please be mindful of all these minor mistakes. Don't make any mistake when you're doing this. So you're supposed to take this measurement here, the 21 inches on this front area where your cape is going to stop. So here I am remarking it. As you can see, I'm trying as much as possible to form like a straight line just like this, and then we're going to connect from there to the hem. So like I said, I'm going to try to use my free hand, and then you can also use a curve or you can just measure it from your neckline area, whichever one is fine for you. Okay, so this is what I have done for mine now. I'm just going to detach this pattern a little bit so that I can draw out the shoulder line. So from this line now, I'm just going to connect my shoulder line properly, and then I'm going to mark out my neckline as well. So you can see this is my neckline and this is my shoulder line, so that I can cut out this cape. Another thing you can do, since we already marked out what we need from the front, I'm going to detach the front pattern and keep it. Then I'll grab the scissors and just cut out what I have here, which is my neckline. To cut out the exact neckline that you have for your back here, I'm going to cut out the neckline, cut out the shoulder area as well, and then from here I'll come up like this, and then you cut straight to your sleeve. Okay, you cut straight to the front sleeve and cut off the hack that you created. So you can see what I have here now. I've cut it out. If you don't have enough paper, you can add to it. You can make it bigger here. My paper is not that big, so that was why I just cut it like this. So now I'm going to cut off this shaded part as well. Remember I said this part is going to make it easier for you to join them together, especially on the shoulder area. So I'm cutting this part off. now I can remove my back panel as well. So this is what the cape looks like. So this is what it looks like after cutting it out. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do is at the armhole area of the front. Remember, we are sewing this part to the armhole of the front. This is the shoulder point. This line here is your shoulder line, and from here to here is the back, from here to here is the front. So because the armhole is not straight, this line is straight, and we're going to be sewing this to the armhole. So here I'm just going to come by around 1 inch here, and then I'm going to try to blend this in and curve it like this, so that we don't have any parts being sharp on that point. Okay, that's what we are going to be sewing to our armhole, and then I'm going to cut that part off. So that is it for the cape. When you're cutting the cape, you make sure that this part is placed on fold. That's the center back. If you don't place it on fold, it means you're going to have a seam at your center back. So now I'm going to bring in my basic bodice again, the front and the back. So for the back is going to remain the same, but for the front, I don't want this neckline for the front. Okay, so I'm just going to be modifying the front a little bit. And for the main bodice as well, you can also modify your armhole to be a little free, especially if you're not fixing a sleeve to this. So I just decided to leave it like this, just in case I want it to have like a basic sleeve underneath. Then you have to work with your regular armhole. But if not, if it's a sleeveless, for it to be really free to wear, you can just make your armhole area lower than your actual armhole measurement. Sorry, the camera was not recording. So for the front, from the neckline here, like I said, I don't want it to have this neckline. I'm just going to use my curved ruler to place it. So from my neckline, you use this curved side of your ruler. I'm going to make it a little bit curved to my waist. So this is the design that I want to work with. This is the neckline that I want for my own. You can decide to do whatever neckline that you want for yours. So you can see how I am connecting it, and then from the waist again, I'm going to make it a little bit slanted to the hem, just like this. So that is what shape that I want for the front of mine. So now I'm going to cut following the mark that I have there. You can see, and then from here again, I'm going to cut and blend into the neckline. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut this out on my fabric. So you cut 2 of this for the front, and then for the back, because I don't want it to have any seam, I'm going to cut this part on fold. And then for my cape as well, I'm going to cut this part on fold as well. So if you are cutting lining with yours, you cut lining for each of them. Okay, so I'm just going to cut like facing for mine because I'm not lining it. So I'll cut it now and bring it back to show us what we have. I have gone ahead to cut it on my fabric, and this is the cape. So here, like I said, I'm not going to line it, so I just left allowance for me to turn it inwards like this. So if you need allowance on your hem as well, you need that you have your allowance to turn or weave it. So if you're going to be lining it, you cut out your lining the exact same way so that you can use them to turn out each other up to this point. Okay, you use them to turn out each other up to this point, then you're going to leave it opened at this point. So you're still going to see how we're going to connect that. So that's the cape, and this is the front. So like I said, I cut out 2 for the front bodies, and then I cut out a facing for it. So if you're lining yours, after cutting your facing, you just use your lining to complete it. But I don't have enough fabric. I would have loved to line it. So this is my front as well. So you're going to use the lining and the facing to turn out each other for the front. And this is the back. You can cut out facing for the back as well, but because I'm going to use the cape to turn it over at the back, and I'm just going to fold in the armhole area. But if you have enough lining, it's better to just turn it with lining so that your armhole will be as neat as possible. But I'll find a way around this as well. So this is my back, and this is my 2 front bodies. So what I'm going to do now is to go ahead and detach my cape. Okay, I'm going to detach the cape. So this is the back bodice and this is the cape. So this must be after you have turned it, okay, after you have turned the armhole area on this side. So I'm just going to place the neckline of my cape. So this is the right side of my main bodice, and this is the wrong side of the cape. This is the right side of the cape. This is how you want it to be. Be careful, because this does not really have a true wrong or right side. So please just watch so that I can get it right. So this is how we want it to lay by the time we are done. Please ignore these lines on the fabric. But so for it to be neat on the neckline here, remember I said I'm going to use the cape to turn the neckline. So what I will simply do is to flip like this and sew. So after flipping and sewing it on the neckline area, I'm going to knot it and then flip it backward. That way my neckline will be neatly finished. I'll go and do this on my machine. And then here for the front, I'm going to go ahead and sew the neckline of the front, so the center front area, and use them to turn out each other, leaving the shoulder area. So I've gone ahead to turn it. You can see, so this is my facing. So if you're working with a lining, you will turn everything neatly. You can see, because it's not complete here, I'm just going to hem it inwards like this so that the hem can be fine. So this is the first side of the front and this is the second side of the front. They are all turned and ironed neatly. And the benefit of also giving it a full lining is that you can also add interfacing to it if you want it to really be structured. So this is my front, and for the back, remember I am joining the back to the cape. You can see I have sewn it on the neckline, the cape and the back together, and then I've used them to turn out each other. So this is what I have. So like I said, if you are turning your cape with lining, you're going to turn up to, you are going to stop it at this edge, okay? All this neckline area, you will leave it unturned. I hope you understand that. So this is what the neckline looks like. This is my cape covering the back. The back is under like this. You can see that the back is under, and then the cape is covering it like this. So now the next thing we're going to do is to join the shoulder together. Remember I said I'm going to explain how we can join it easily, so that this is going to be easy, especially for beginners. So this is the shoulder for the back and the cape together like this. So now I'll bring my front. So this is for the first side and this is for the second side. So just like we turn our shoulders normally, I'm going to place it like this, and then I'm going to take the facing and use it to cover. So this is the back, this is the front. I'll just take the facing of the front and use it to wrap the back so that the shoulder is going to be neatly finished. So just like this, I'm going to place it on it like this. I'll take it to the sewing machine and sew. I'll do this for the two sides. So I have turned it. You can see this is the shoulder area. You can see this is the front and this is the back. It's neatly turned. So now the next thing I'm going to do is on the cape. So on this cape, remember that place where we took the dart, which is here. So the one that is the actual shoulder measurement, the actual armhole measurement, I'm going to sew it down to the armhole like this. You can see it is normally like this. Okay, so this first part here, I'm going to sew it down to the armhole. You can see them laying on each other already. So you can sew it down first, or you can just place it like this, and then this part, remember I said this part here is what we're going to be sewing to the front. So you can see now that the cuff started here. So you can see that we have it in excess, which was what I was explaining, that by the time you join your shoulder together with the seam allowance that we left on the shoulder, this is going to extend for you. So if you don't want it to reach so much in your front, you need to remove what you have here as your seam allowance for the shoulder. Okay, I hope we can remember when I was saying that. So here, remember I added extra allowance for hemming. So what I'm going to do is to go ahead and fold in that allowance that I added. I'm going to use to hem it. Then after that, I'm going to flip this like this, and then I will sew from the back here. I'm going to sew it all the way to the front, so that we'll have something like this, and then my cape must have joined to the front as well. So I'll go ahead and do this. I hope you understand it. You're going to lay it like this, what you're going to do is to simply flip from here. That was why we opened it here, so that we can sew it in bits and it will make it easier for us. So here, now that we have opened this, is what I'm going to be flipping, and then I'm going to be sewing from the back all the way to the armhole where the cape stops and the front armhole. I've gone ahead to sew it, as you can see. So this is what it looks like. So I sew from the back that 4 inches that I stepped back from the back, but remember, by the time I sew half an inch off for the shoulder, it's going to leave like 3.5 inches. So you just sew it to the front, and I left this small place at the front. That's where I am going to hem it here on the front area. So after hemming it, I'm going to sew it up completely. So I do the same thing. I did the same thing for the other side as well. So now what you just need to do is to join the inner parts together by the sides. So here you can see I am flipping it. So this is the back and this is the front. So I'll match it together and join by the seam allowance that I left for the two sides. So after joining the two sides together, they become one. So now I'm just going to find a way to hem the armhole area, since you already have a seam line here, so you can see the allowance. So that's what you can use to hem it. So if you are fixing, excuse me, a sleeve, okay, if you are fixing a sleeve, this is where you are going to fix your sleeve. So you just turn it like this, and then you sew your sleeve to the armhole area, and then you join it together with the side seam. But if you are not fixing a sleeve, you just find a way to hem your armhole. So like I said, especially if you are not fixing a sleeve, you can increase your armhole measurement so that it's a little freer when you wear it. The choice is totally yours. So I'll go ahead and join them on the side seams together, and then from the front here, from the allowance that I left in front here, I will hem the cape all round as well. So I'll do all of this now and bring it back to show us what we have. So this is what the blazer looks like. You can see the design that we have at the front. So on my armhole area, just like I explained, I just hemmed the remaining parts of the armhole, so you can line yours so that it can be really neat. This is the cape, and you can see the arm just comes from underneath the cape, and the cape comes from the back all the way to the front. So the front can stop anywhere you want it, and it just goes all the way to the back. So this is the full view of the blazer. You can see how beautiful it is and how simple it is to make it. So at the back where you joined it at the shoulder here, you just make sure you iron it neatly so that everything can just blend well together. I hope you enjoyed making this beautiful blazer. So if you enjoyed it, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment and subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.